All right, Leger, what's your deep dive this week?
Yeah, I know you guys were on live when the trade happened for Davante Adams. I just wanted to dive into it a little bit deeper. Is it too little too late for the Jets? With this Davante Adams trade, I actually came on CBS HQ yesterday when the trade happened. And to me, Kyle and Mike, this kind of reminds me of that Hail Mary throw that Aaron Rodgers had to Allen Lazard, right before half in Monday Night Football versus the Buffalo Bills. This is a last gasp effort to salvage the season. Now, when you look at this, there's so many ways and nuances to look at this trade and what it can and can't do for the Jets, right? The Jets offense looked significantly better last week. I knew it would. Usually when there's a coaching change, guys are usually more on their P's and Q's. Guys execute more. It wasn't like the playbook was vastly different. I did love some of the things that Todd Downing did, motion with Garrett Wilson.
Snaps.
Also, the two back sets near the goal line, right? Putting Braylon Allen at fullback, which should have been a touchdown, but because of a holding call, was it really a holding call on Tyron Smith? I
thought it was a holding call.
You thought it was?
Okay. I 100% think and expect a future Hall of Famer not to be grabbing like that on the goal line, particularly that far away.
I was going to say, what you do on that play has no effect on the play because the fullback dive is so quick. The chances of a defensive end making that play are literally slim to none. Right? So you just got to be smart in regards to your anger there. If he beats you inside, just let him go and let the fullback either because of where he's at leverage-wise just fall into the end zone because Braylon Allen is 240 pounds, right? It's going to be hard to stop him before he gets across the goal line. But I love some of the nuances that Downing had. But going back to Davante Adams, I'm cautiously optimistic. And I say cautiously because, for one, yes, Aaron Rodgers has a rapport with Adams, but people tend to forget that was almost 3 years ago. Right, we just saw CeeDee Lamb miss training camp, and him and Dak Prescott don't even seem like they're on the same planet right now. Right, so just imagine a guy that hasn't played with Aaron Rodgers for 3 years now. Again, will some of their old symbols come up maybe when they're out, and Davante will be knowing what Aaron Rodgers is thinking, and then also as far as the details, right? You heard Aaron Rodgers talk about that final play on the interception of Taron Johnson. Mike Williams is supposed to be on the red line, a specific place on the field. You would think Davante Adams would be there because he knows how detailed Aaron Rodgers is. I think that where he could help the Jets the most, guys, is where the Jets lost the game on Monday night. And that's in the red zone. Like, when you look at it, the Buffalo Bills started the game off 3 for 3, 3 touchdowns in the red zone, and then they got a field goal at the end. The Jets were 1 of 4 in the red zone. Like, when people talk about, the defense started slow, they didn't stop the run, the defense only gave up 30 yards in the second half against the run. So they squared some things up. I think part of that is Jeff Ulbrich having a lot on his plate, and some of the calls, like, he doesn't get to really sit with the defense during that break because he's a head coach now. He has to lock into the offense. I think some of that had to do with some of them being slow against the run in the first half, but they tightened up in the second half. Guys took on blocks, guys got off of blocks, guys made tackles. But where they lost this game was the red zone, right? Their execution in the red zone was awful at times. And you would think the one play, Breece Hall, one-on-one with a safety Taylor wrap after a big run, you got to make him miss and get into the end zone. But the execution in the red zone still seems to be an issue. And that's where Davante can help. Because I don't know if there was a better connection, maybe Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in the red zone besides that combo, than Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Because Rodgers just can look at him and know, hey, this is the leverage we got on defense. I need you to be here, and he's going to be there. But again, to me, this is a last gasp effort. And now, what do you do with Mike Williams? I mean, I know me and you were talking on X yesterday, and you're like, to the bench you go.
Take a seat, my friend.
And then now there's talks that he might get traded, right? So it's just like, and then you worry about, what does this do with the connection of Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers? Because it was starting to come along the last 2 games. Now, the week before in Minnesota, 23 targets, I think is absurd in the game, right? To just go over 100 yards. But I thought they were really efficient Monday night, and that connection was starting to grow. Does that hurt his development now that Davante Adams is coming in? Only time will tell.
I love what he said about the red zone. And you're saying the only other guys are Travis and Patrick. I was lucky enough to see those guys put together their red zone package every week.
Correct.
And try to get Travis Kelce involved. But also, in addition to trying to get Travis the ball, we're trying to confuse this defense. And we're trying to show Travis in multiple different spots. The shovel pass stuff that they do in the red area, all eyes are on 87.
100%.
So when you bring a guy like Davante in, it opens things up for everybody else. It's not just how can we get the ball to Davante Adams. It's how can we scheme this defense into showing their hand and us being able to have the look that gives us an advantage in the red area. I love that. The other point you made, maybe, you said CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott not on the same page. Some of that experience didn't pay off because they missed CeeDee not in training camp. With Davante Adams, I think that the only thing that I have a concern with, and it's going to show itself, are the things that he's looking at pre-snap the same things that he remembers from when he played with Aaron.
Correct. That usually takes timing.
Is it 5 yards or is it 6 yards for that corner that's going to make me put the brakes on?
Correct.
When I see the safety roll down, what's my immediate adjustment? And does Aaron remember that? You said it's been 3 years. 3 years.
Almost 3, yeah.
Almost 3 years for these guys. I don't worry about the terminology, the verbiage in the offense. No. I think that once they start to get the rust off a little bit in terms of, oh yeah, I remember you like it at 4 yards, not 5 yards. You're a little bit different.
That's my issue. It's going to take time to get that down.
And do they have the luxury?
They don't have time. That's the thing.
They don't have the luxury of time. But I think with the complaints that Davante has had over the last couple of years, and rightfully so, the situation hasn't been great for him.
Yeah.
I think he has been laying in bed with his eyes closed, thinking about some of the things that him and Aaron have done in the past. And I think it shows itself earlier than we would expect.
I think it's huge. I do think it's a little too late to win the division. I think they're behind the 8 ball pretty hard in the AFC West right now, AFC East right now. But I think it's big for this reason. Aaron Rodgers, having watched him closely over the course of his career, he throws to receivers he trusts. There's a reason why Allen Lazard has 39 targets.
Correct.
And Mike Williams has 17. And it's not because Allen Lazard is way better than Mike Williams. It's because he trusts Allen Lazard.
Correct.
And so in this offense, you basically, those 39 targets that Allen Lazard has this year, those now all go to Davante Adams, right? Like the 6 drops that Lazard has, it's like Davante ain't dropping those balls. Yeah. So from that perspective, it gives him 3 guys now between Garrett Wilson, between Allen Lazard and Davante Adams that are all in the progression, because you saw it his last years in Green Bay when they kind of had this weak wide receiving core. He didn't trust guys, and if he didn't trust them, he wasn't throwing
it to him.
And so when guys are off limits in a progression, or when you're just hesitant to go to a guy in a progression, well, a lot of times that plays down the drain if you're not willing to. So to me, it's huge because Davante's awesome. He's still got it as a wide receiver. He's not prime Davante, but he still can get open and still can make plays to catch point. But because this gives him a trio of wideouts now that he trusts, that he is going to go to, and not just throw 22 targets to Garrett Wilson like he did against the Vikings, right? So he could spread the ball around now more, and the whole playbook's on the table. So I think it's big from that perspective.
Jets are dangerous. Is it dangerous enough? Is there enough time?
I mean, like, again, when you put yourself in a hole at 2-4, when you lose 3 games in a row by, I think, a combined 10 points, like, you look at it, if things go one play here, one play there, you literally could have 1 loss on the season. Then this trade makes so much more sense, right? And to your point, now with the Bills trading for Amari Cooper and being 4-2 in the division, is it too little, too late to go and catch them?
Well, I'm looking at the schedule right now. They got the Jets have the Texans at home.
We'll have the Steelers this Sunday night.
Yeah, they got the Steelers. They've got the Texans. They've got the Patriots. They've got the Cardinals. They've got the Colts, the Seahawks,
Jaguars up there,
the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Rams. There's some winnable games.
I mean, again, all those games are winnable, but like they have no room for error now. Like literally, when you look at it, they have to probably have to win 8 of the last 11 or 9 of the last 11.
But right? if there's a duo that you could see getting hot.
I mean, we saw Aaron Rodgers get hot that one year, and right, they got to week 18. Relax. They had a chance to win the division.
Was that relaxed?
And they lost. Yeah.
When he was like, hey.
Yeah, everybody just relaxed.
Smoke some butter.
They were about the same record right now. So, I mean, if there's one quarterback that's done it before, it's him.
Yeah, I mean, he's the bad guy in the movie that you have to just kill. You can't give him a chance. You can't let him bleed out and leave the scene of the crime. You have to kill this guy, because if you don't, he will take what's yours. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me.